Constellation is a system whereby we can change the absorption of a building, the sound absorption. So as we increase the gain of Constellation, what we're effectively doing is we're reducing the absorption of the surrounding surfaces. We're increasing the resonance of the room. This one is even longer. These are all user presets. They can select what they want to. And this one is just for fun, because we can. And just to remind you, you can always come back. I believe that good acoustics are essential for a really good emotional connection between performers and the building that they're in and the audience. And if you can actually find a way to bring the audience and the performers together in a better way so that they all feel a better emotional response, then that is, for me, the essence of good acoustics, and that's what we're trying to achieve with Constellation. That is on one hand my objective, but on the other hand, we have to think about the practicalities of Constellation and trying to make a room that can be adjusted for different types of performances so that you can have a rock concert in the morning, a classical concert in the afternoon, and you could have a film score in the evening. We need to have different acoustics for different things, and that for me is what Constellation is about. It's a model room. It was designed by Graner and partners for Constellation. It was designed from the ground up for Constellation. They've done an extremely good job. It's absolutely ideal for this kind of facility. And, you know, Ingelheim is not that far from Frankfurt, so obviously if you're going to build a hall here, you want it to be able to do all sorts of things. You want it to be a community centre, and therefore you might have spoken word, you might have conferences, you might have a string quartet on the stage, you might have a small symphony orchestra, anything. You should be able to do all of those things, and we have tried very hard to adapt Constellation to be suitable for all of those events. Constellation is an acoustic system, so reverb is just a particular aspect of an acoustic space, but there are many things in an acoustic space that we have to worry about. We have to worry about early reflections, reverberation, strength, clarity, warmth. There are many metrics that we have to consider in an acoustic space, and it is not a reverb system as such. What we're doing is we're changing the actual physical acoustic. We're changing it electronically, but we're not adding an effect. Constellation is not an effect, it's we're really extending the reverberation time of the physical architecture without changing it too much. So we need the room to sound good from the get-go. We need a good physical bass. As we've developed Constellation, we've realised that there's more and more we can do with it. It's become more sophisticated. We had no idea when we started with Constellation that it would ever have an application other than for multi-purpose rooms and concert halls. But now we're installing Constellation in restaurants, in education establishments, in boardrooms, and the interest, the take-up from people using those kind of applications is spectacular. It's more than 50% of our work. I was one of the first people in the business to do digital recording back in the late 1970s. And in fact, 1979, I never made another analogue recording after 1979. That was it. So I've always been an advocate of technology in music. When my career with Pavarotti took off in 1985 and we started doing shows around the world, that was obviously where my relationship with Meyer Sound grew. And that was amazing to be able to work with a great artist using technology to bring that voice to sometimes 70, 80,000 people. And you can say what you like, of course, if you want to be purist and criticise that idea, that concept of entertainment, that's fine by me, and you don't have to go to the concerts. Now, when it comes to acoustics and this sort of venue, I am absolutely delighted to be working in the area of Constellation, because for me it enables us to bring good acoustics to halls that would never be able to dream of it. You heard earlier on today Dominic, the acoustic consultant here, saying this hall would have had to be twice the size, twice the volume, in order to produce the kind of reverberation times that we have for just at the press of a button in this hall. Now, of course, we couldn't afford, or they couldn't afford to build a hall that big, but instead they can just press a button, change the acoustic, and get, for me, what is spectacular results. I don't think there's anything unnatural about it. It sounds, to my ear, beautiful. And that's what I've heard a lot of today from other people listening to the system. So there's nothing unnatural about it. John Meyer is obsessed with linearity, and that obsession runs through the company. And therefore, we make sure that because the sound is going into a very high quality microphone, it's being processed in a very linear and high quality way, then it's being returned to very linear loudspeakers. There's zero distortion anywhere. And that, because of that, we can do what we do with Constellation. It could do, yes. I think that if there was another touring orchestra show like that, I don't see why not, absolutely. It's not an expensive system as Constellation systems go. It's a single zone, a stage system, and in the case of Star Wars, they toured with it. It just went round when they packed up the main PA, which was always a Meyer PA, they just packed up the Constellation system with it. And it was very simple to put up and to use. So it was certainly very popular with all of the orchestras that played on that Star Wars tour.